So I have a confession to make.
Okay.
All right, and you're either gonna respond really well or really poorly. The day after we shot the short film.
Okay.
All right, you and me, we went to Old Town.
Yes.
Right after dropping off the equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, to eat poke and to shop for your boyfriend, right?
Yes.
And so, do you remember I stopped by the bathroom a couple times?
Yeah, you were at you went to Starbucks.
Yeah. What I realized later is that because the shoot was so stressful, I hadn't taken a dump. Right?
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
In 2-3 days.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I guess my body was finally kind of relieved and
Okay.
alarmed.
Okay. Yeah.
Remember that I left kind of abruptly?
I guess so. I didn't really think it was too weird.
No. I told you that I had to clean the place because I promised to.
Yeah.
And
Just because you had to take a shit?
the truth is, I took a fart that I thought was a fart.
Oh no! Oh no! Wow. Okay, the truth comes out. The truth comes out 7 months later.
It's great. I actually, surprisingly, I didn't actually have any leakage. I clenched well enough.
Someone bring a diaper on set.
Thanks.
When we're filming, I need to remind you to take shit. You're okay, calm down, take a shit. You don't want what happened last time to happen again.
Oh, man.
I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire. Yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Road Dogs. My name is Samuel Lin, aka King Yen Lin, and I am your local freelance multifaceted specialist. And with me today is...
I'm Sherry Chiu. I'm freelance filmmaker. That's it.
How did you get into film?
Well, I first started film in high school, actually, just as a club for fun. Same through college, just for fun. And when I graduated, I got an amazing opportunity at Wong Fu Productions, if you guys have heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
And after they said, oh, you got the job, I dropped everything. I was in Chicago. I dropped everything, and I moved to LA in 3 days. And I'm here, I'm ready. Yeah, I'm a local, totally. I'm ready to work. And that was a year ago, so I've been working with them and a lot of other people's sets, just freelancing.
How'd they react when they found out you weren't a local?
They didn't really, it wasn't a big surprise. They found out very gradually by the fact that I was just confused by everything. So they kind of found out gradually, but they didn't really.
Yeah.
They're you're here now.
Didn't come down on you. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I made it, so I guess it doesn't really matter anymore.
That kind of segues into our topic today. Our topic today is third culture kids, and that's not a very widely known term. Third culture kids refers to kids who grew up in many different places. They basically grew up moving around a lot. It's kids that kind of struggle with an identity of nationality. So for me, a little bit about me is I was born in Singapore. I was not born here. I was born in Singapore 1 year, and then 2 years in Taiwan, 10 years in Hong Kong, and then 6 years back in Singapore before I came to the States. But the entire time I had an American passport because both my parents studied here in America. That's kind of the short version of where I'm from.
And so I was born in Delaware, there for 4 years, raised in Taiwan, so I was there for 13, 14 years. And then I moved to Chicago for college, and then moved to LA to now. I'm assuming that I was born in U.S. as an anchor baby. I got the passport. Okay, now let's raise you in an Asian country where our actual Asian culture and family is.
You
so
mean
that's
the helicopter babies?
Helicopter babies?
Yeah. Helicopter and give birth, and then helicopter.
Oh, I haven't heard of that. I've
okay.
heard of it as anchor babies. You drop an anchor.
Oh, anchor. Okay,
in
yeah.
the U.S., but then I'm actually raised actually raised in Taiwan,
Yeah,
like where
yeah.
the rest of our family is.
Uh-huh.
But ever since I graduated from high school, it was the expectation to come to the U.S.
Mhm.
for college and for job, because it was seen as like a better place to be, maybe just for us. So it seemed very natural for me to just move around a lot, like constantly be on overnight, like 24-hour flights cross
Yeah. Tell me about that.
global, because they're almost exactly like Taiwan and the East Coast was like almost exactly on the opposite ends of the globe.
It's really strange for me because like a lot of people ask me, where are you from? And then I'll tell my whole story and they'll be like, oh, you moved so much, that's so cool. And I'm like, yeah, it is cool. I'm never gonna deny that. Like, I love the fact that I am exposed to a lot of different cultures. But the downside of that is there is no where am I from. I can say I'm American by passport, but I don't feel any patriotism. I don't have the ingrained American pride. Am I from Asia? Well, kind of, because I was born and raised there, but I wasn't like the locals because I didn't speak like them because I went to American schooling. And so I was seen by the locals as an American. I still am seen by the locals as an American. So it's this weird balance and bounce board that I've always kind of lived in between.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that too. Whenever I was in Taiwan, people immediately can pick up, like, my Chinese has this like American accent. So they immediately pick up like, oh, you're not from here. Where are you from? Even though I've been in Taiwan for like 13 years and like most of my life, the locals will always ask me like, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, how can I end this conversation quickly? I'll just tell them what they want to hear. So I say, like, yeah, I'm from America. Same thing in America. It's like, well, actually, I don't get that question too much because I have a very American accent.
Yeah.
But people go like, oh, where are you from? And again, I'm like, well, what should I tell them? Because it's so hard. When people ask me where I'm from, I'm like, I can say Taiwan, Chicago, Delaware. Like, what do you want to know? Where I'm born, where I was raised, where I live? My favorite one that someone asked me a while back was, where's your home? And I thought that was that's a very cute, very sensitive way to ask someone, like, what do you consider home?
How did you answer that one?
Well, I still consider Taiwan my home. Okay. Because I still spent the majority of my life there.
Okay.
Where's your home?
I've never had an answer for that.
Well, which place of everywhere that you live you consider home the most?
I don't have that. Sometimes I'll write like I'm coming back home when I travel back to Singapore because my parents are still there, right? So in a way I am heading back home. But then right afterwards, when I'm heading back to LA, I'm like, I'm heading back home. I'm just like, wait.
That's true.
Because I live here. But
yeah.
I'll say home loosely in that manner, but when it comes to the grip of it, like, home is a very foreign concept to me. Right? But I think we're focusing on the negatives a lot. As much as like it leads us to feel lost, I think there are some positives that come with it. A positive that I think has always come from it is the fact that we can see the world from a lot of different perspectives. I was talking to a friend, and he was saying how there's this bridge between ABCs and mainland Chinese that is impossible to cross.
Oh, you should explain what ABC is.
Oh, okay. An ABC is an American-born Chinese person, but usually it's not just for Chinese. A lot of people who label ABCs also include any East Asian, right? Like Japanese, Korean, as long as they are, for lack of a better word, whitewashed, they're considered ABC. Which is pretty racist, now that I think about it.
Isn't it very technically, literally just born in America and you happen to be...
I don't know, because, like, I think you're born in America.
Yeah.
I don't consider you an ABC.
Wait, what? I'm not an ABC?
I consider you a third culture kid.
Wait, I thought it was ABC because I'm literally an Asian person who was born
You're a helicopter
in America.
baby, I remember. Well, I think ABC is a slang terminology.
Maybe it means different things.
That's why.
America, yeah.
No, I don't even think it's that. I think it's because slang is always loosely defined.
Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
ABC isn't like a technical term in any way, shape, or form. It's used as like American whitewashed Asian, East Asian, right? Because if you're gonna say
okay.
technically you're ABC, then why are people calling Koreans who are born here ABCs? Why are people calling, like, stigma-wise, I look at Andrew and I'm like, oh, it's an ABC, right? I've never said he's a Korean-born American-born Korean. He's no ABK. That doesn't exist.
Okay.
Right?
I guess in America it's a little more loose because just there's so many Asian Americans. It's just like, are you an ABC or just literally you're just an Asian American? In Taiwan, I feel like it's more technical because everyone's Asian, but only some people are actually born from America. So it felt very technical when people ask me, oh, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from America. Like, oh, you're an ABC. Then I'm like, yeah, I am. Because I guess it means something a little different there.
I guess so. I guess it's more literal. I just feel like
maybe here
there's like
more,
ABC and FOB technicalities, right? Those are the opposing sides, quote unquote, right? And people either see you as one or the other, but we're not really either, right? We're kind of this in between, right? If you want to be literal about it, just like you were saying, if you want to be literal about it, I'm a FOB.
Oh,
I don't act, sound, or do anything culturally similar to a FOB, but in a literal sense, that's how you could name me, right?
That's true. Okay. So FOB is fresh off the boat, and it's like stereotypically for Asian people who act very Asian. That's a really, I don't know how to characterize it, but stereotypically
has cultural.
God, okay, just stereotypical Asian. There, I'm just gonna say that. So I guess technically you're a FOB and technically I'm ABC because I was in America, but you weren't born here. So that's we're very technical, but I don't.
Yeah,
you're
but
right. I guess
both
we
the terms
those.
FOB and ABC are slang definitions
and stereotypes.
Yeah. So I don't think they have rules like that, basically. So when someone calls you an ABC, I think they're writing you off as American born and raised. Right.
Okay.
When someone calls me, I mean, even over there, right? People call me ABC. They think that I'm American born and raised when I'm neither. Right. So, yeah, and then here people are like, no, you're not a FOB. You don't act like a FOB. I've met some people who are like, I hate FOBs, and like straight up. And I'm like, well, I'm a FOB, and it's like, no, well, you're not like a real FOB. And I was like, yeah, I am. Right? If you want to be not even technical, if you want to be literal about it, I am.
Yeah.
Right?
How fresh off the boat do you have to be a FOB?
First generation, I think. Right? No matter what. Right? Our parents, right?
Does that make me a FOB? I'm also first gen. Anyways.
Technically, yeah.
Anyways, this could go on for a while, but basically, I feel like it's just stereotypes.
Yes.
Attached, especially with FOB. That's it.
Anyways, the topic that going back.
Yeah, what you were saying before when you're talking with your friends.
There's bridge that can't be crossed between mainlanders or FOBs and ABCs. American-born, whitewashed Asians and mainland Asians, right?
Okay.
And the fact that we had a 10-minute discussion about the differences between the two kind of proves the point that there are insurmountable differences between the two groups.
Yeah.
Right? But what I think is so cool about third culture kids that are standing between these two groups or bouncing back between these two groups is they have the ability, somehow, some way, I believe they have the ability, I believe we have the ability to build that bridge. I think that most third culture kids worry too much about fitting in.
It's funny because I think I'm the opposite. Another pro for being third culture is I use it as an excuse for when I don't know things. When someone's like, how do you not know this? This was our childhood. And I'm like, I was raised in Taiwan. And then when I'm in Taiwan, they're like, how don't you not listen to Taiwanese music? I'm like, I'm Americanized. So I just use it as like an excuse, like, don't bother me. I'm just doing my own thing. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It really is like expands your horizons.
Yeah.
A lot of things that I feel like you would take for granted if you're just one culture, or even on another note, monolingual. Being bilingual, being bicultural, tricultural, etc. It makes you question the tiniest things about how people act, especially like in different environments. So I think it's really cool. It's really eye-opening.
Yeah, definitely. When people travel these days, when you see like your friends travel, they travel to like the really touristy spots, right? They travel to the spots that they've dreamed about their whole life, and there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, you should dream about going to Paris. You should dream about backpacking across Europe, all that stuff, right? You should dream about Japan and Korea, and you should go for it. But the problem with only traveling that way is you don't immerse yourself in different tiers of culture. You may immerse yourselves in different culture, but you won't immerse yourself in different tiers of culture. For example, the poor parts of Vietnam or the Philippines, right? Whenever I know that anyone that wants to travel, they want to go to a resort island, and yeah, the Philippines has some resort islands. Vietnam has some resorts, and it's you're on a holiday. You want to enjoy yourself, but you don't really get to see the grit of the people. Right? There's this quote from Trevor Noah.
Yeah.
Okay. In his older stand-up, not his newest one, which I recommend both of them, but on Netflix, he has this line that's really profound to me. I mean, there's a lot of things that he says is super profound to me, but this one specifically, he said, if there's something that you'll never waste your money on, it's traveling. Because traveling is the cure to ignorance. If you immerse yourselves in these different mindsets and cultures and qualities of the cultures, you're really able to understand where people are coming from. Right?
Yeah. I really agree about the difference between traveling as a spectator versus traveling as a participant. Because if you're, again, the touristy things, you just see the good stuff. You only see what you want to see, and it feels very flat. Well, I guess we'll drawing kind of from my own experience. As you say, like, oh, people who go to Europe. I kind of had both experiences. I went to London, and I was definitely a spectator in that sense. Like, I explored, and like I hung out with my friends, but like my American friends. So I really didn't get to speak with the locals that much, and then that was it. That was a vacation. Versus I was in Romania, and I worked at a startup there for 2 months, and literally there's no Americans. It's just the whole company is like local Romanians who are bilingual, and they showed me around, and they took me out to places to eat. They showed me, or just like I had to just taking the public transport there and seeing the conditions of the streets, or just like how people lived every day to day. I felt I had a richer experience there.
Definitely.
I really got to know the locals and their environment.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Because
we've received all these other experiences, it's almost like we're obliged to share it. In a weird way. I don't know if that makes sense. Obliged to share our life lessons, the experiences that we've undergone, the lessons that we've learned from moving away when we were little, or experiencing culture shock from very young age. These things are things that people only start to learn, or never even learn, period, right? Are only starting to learn, into their late 20s. Which I think is pretty terrible, because I think if you're only experiencing either of those in your late 20s, somebody hasn't prepared you really well for real life.
Yeah,
right?
It actually kind of blows my mind when people around our age, like, they've never left their state, or left their country. Because I mean, again, it's not, sometimes it's beyond them, like beyond their control. But for people within our kind of sphere who haven't, I'm like, well, it's really eye-opening experience.
It blows my mind when there are older and older people in this day and age that are still living at home. I would love to move home, don't get me wrong. Like, I would love to move home and not have to worry, and have mom's cooking, and mom's cleaning and all that stuff. But I think it's a necessary life step.
Well, the first time I got on a plane by myself, like from Taiwan to US, so this was like 22 hour back then. Now it's a lot faster. I was 18 the first time, and when I got to America, I think my first culture shock when I got it was just in the airport. I was like, everyone looks so different, right? Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Because in Asia, you're so used to black hair, black eyes,
Yep.
same height, same build.
Uh-huh.
And then when I got to the airport, I was just, first thing was like, wow, like different color hairs, eyes, shapes, sizes. That was crazy to me. But yeah, another big culture shock was when I first went to Iowa,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, the sky is so big. I don't know if you got that before, like going from Asia to America, because in Taiwan especially, it's just a bunch of skyscrapers, everything, because it's so crowded there, everything is several stories tall.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came to Iowa, like everything was one story and just like massively spread out, and I could see the whole sky, and I was like, this is crazy to me. I was just staring at it like, it's big.
Yeah.
So it's just like interesting things, like those small things you'll never think of unless you're kind of a third culture kid. You won't think about like the size of the sky or like how much of the sky you can see in different countries.
That's true. That's true.
But because of that, of like the constant culture shocking, just like learning all these things, I have become very independent. So I am very comfortable moving, like moving different states or moving countries if I have to.
Yes.
I went to Europe by myself, and
Yep.
I moved here by myself. So it's all very normal to me.
So when I first came to the state, I went from city kid, skyscrapers and everything, and my first year was in Colorado, to a cabin in the mountains. You know, shoveling your snow. The first time I'd ever witnessed snow, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, shoveling your own snow. You know, cutting down trees for firewood, chopping
Wait, that's
firewood.
cool.
And
Yeah, I mean, cool in hindsight, but
yeah, it's
it was
cool.
probably...
It's definitely really cool in hindsight. Now, whenever like people are like, let's do some outdoorsman stuff, I'll be like, oh, cool. I love that stuff, because that was a part of me growing up at that point. And the biggest positive culture shock of that was the stars. Because when you're in a city like that, and people here in LA, obviously they deal with the same thing, not to the extreme. Like we do see more stars here than we do in Asia, because skyscrapers produce so much light and light pollution that we really see nothing. Right? I mean, aside from the moon, we see nothing. But in Colorado, at nighttime, with the sprawl, like you're up in the mountains with no buildings in sight, with nothing but like a town and a county full of 500 people tops, right? And it's just every night it was just all the stars. Every morning the sunrise, every night the sunset. It's all beautiful.
Did you experience racism?
Yes.
in Colorado?
Yes, I did. My parents were visiting at one point, so we got like a little motel room, and I was gonna do laundry that night, so we all got our laundry together, and to get to the laundry room in that motel, you gotta walk down a hallway where the hot tub room can be seen, right? There's a window on the side of the hallway, and then you see all the hot tubs over there, right? And you walk past it, and there's a boiler room, and in the boiler room is the laundry machines, right? So I'm walking back and forth carrying, these bags of laundry, because we don't have hampers or anything like that. We just have bags. Walking back and forth, and all of a sudden I hear, and I look over, and there's this redneck with a handlebar mustache inside the hot tub, right? He's like as stereotypical as you can get, right? And he's on the phone with the manager of the place. And he's like, yeah, I just saw some Koreans walking over to the boiler room, and I just thought you should know, and I was just wondering if I should take out my M4 and shoot him.
What?
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't bother you,
What?
then I'm not going to worry about it, right? And he's saying it really loud, like he thinks we can't speak English.
Oh my god.
Right? So, after a few rounds, I'm just like, wait, why am I just taking this? So I popped my head in, and I literally went, I'm not Korean, and just walked off. and the look on his face.
Worth it?
Yeah, definitely worth it. I mean,
Okay.
it was not worth taking the insult, right? Because Korean or not, the trigger reaction should not be, let me take my M4 and shoot them.
Oh my god.
Right? But that's just kind of how it is.
Something that always puts me on edge, or I'm like kind of confused about, is when someone goes up to you and is like, "Wow, your English is so good," when they find out from where you're from, and then a part of me is like, "Thanks." So, okay, I had very conflicting opinions about this. So one is I can be offended, like, why shouldn't my English be good? And another one is like, a lot of the times I feel like it's good intentions, like they're trying to compliment me, but they're ignorant. So I'd be like, okay, I don't want to be too mean because they're not trying to be mean.
Yeah.
So when I was talking about this with my brother, he came up with the best response. When someone goes like, "Oh, your English is so good," you go like, "Thanks, your English is good too." Which will hopefully will throw them for a loop, which will make them consider the same thing that you're thinking about.
Oh. Well then. We're so late. It's ridiculous. Yeah. With that said,
I'm Sherry.
and I am Sam. Please don't serve us eggs and ham.
Is that what you wanted? I added some pip into it.
Perfect. Oh, high five. Yeah!
Woo, we're done.
Set my heart afire.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in today and hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you guys liked this and want to see more of it, be sure to like and subscribe. Also, if you guys have any ideas of topics that you'd like to discuss, be sure to let me know down in the comments below. Love you guys and see you next time.